Welcome to InfluenceSyc, where we explore the mysteries that time couldn't bury. Tonight, we travel to the icy mountains of the Ural region in Russia, to a place now known as Dyatlov Pass where 9 young hikers went on a winter expedition in 1959 and never came back alive. What the rescue team found was so strange and horrifying that it remains unsolved to this day. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, a mystery frozen in time. In January 1959, Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student, led a group of 9 friends on a ski hiking trip across the Ural Mountains. They were smart, healthy, and experienced adventurers excited for a 16-day journey through the unforgiving snow and wind. Their journey took them to a mountain the local Mansi people called Kolitsyakal, which ominously translates to Mountain of the Dead. On a cold evening, they set up camp on its slope, and that was the last time anyone saw them alive. Their diaries and photos captured their high spirits, and aware of the terror that awaited them in the darkness. When they failed to return on their scheduled date, a massive search operation was launched. What the rescuers found on February 26 was deeply unsettling. The hikers' tent was torn open from the inside, as if they had desperately cut their way out in a blind panic. Their belongings, including warm clothes and boots, were left behind. Outside, a trail of footprints in the deep snow led away from the camp. Some were barefoot, others were only in socks, even though the temperature was a deadly -30 C. Why would seasoned hikers abandon their only shelter in such a state? Then came the bodies. The first 2 were found near the edge of a forest, under a large cedar tree. They were half-dressed, with burned hands, as if they had tried to start a fire in a desperate attempt to survive. 3 more were discovered a short time later, their bodies frozen solid on the ground, seemingly trying to crawl back to the relative safety of the tent. But that was only the beginning of the horror. Months later, as the snow finally began to melt, the remaining 4 bodies were found buried in a ravine. The condition of these last 4 hikers deepened the mystery to a terrifying degree. 1 had a fractured skull, 2 had severely broken ribs, and 1 woman was found missing her eyes and tongue. The doctor who examined them stated the internal injuries were consistent with the force of a major car crash, yet, bafflingly, there were no external signs of a struggle, no footprints of anyone else, no blood in the snow, no weapons. Stranger still, some of their clothes showed unusually high levels of radiation. Investigators were stumped. Why would experienced hikers flee their tent half-naked into deadly cold? What could have scared them so much that they ran into the dark toward their certain death? Something had happened on that mountain and it had killed them all. For decades, people have tried to explain what happened at Dyatlov Pass, leading to a flood of theories. Some say it was a sudden, violent avalanche, but the slope was too gentle for a major slide, and the tent wasn't completely buried. Others whisper of a secret military experiment gone wrong. Could the hikers have stumbled upon a test of secret weapons or a radioactive device? This could explain the radiation, but what about the bizarre injuries and the panicked flight? Then there's the UFO theory. Strange, glowing orange spheres were reportedly seen in the sky that night by other witnesses in the area. Could they have been exposed to something not of this world? Another compelling theory points to infrasound, low-frequency sound waves generated by the wind patterns around the mountain, which can induce intense panic, confusion, and terror in humans. Perhaps the hikers simply went mad, but why the brutal, crushing injuries? Why the radiation? No single theory manages to explain every disturbing detail. In 2019, more than 60 years after the incident, Russian authorities officially reopened the case. Their final report concluded that a slab avalanche was to blame. They proposed that a small, delayed slide collapsed onto the tent, injuring some hikers and forcing the group to flee. However, many independent experts and journalists strongly disagree. The pattern of injuries, the radiation, the missing body parts, and the fact that the hikers walked nearly a mile from their tent, it all still makes no sense under the avalanche theory. Some believe the truth was deliberately covered up by the Soviet government, perhaps to hide a failed rocket launch, a clandestine military operation, or something far stranger that they couldn't risk revealing to the world. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of modern history. 9. Bright, capable friends went into the mountains on an adventure, and something in the dead of night made them run in absolute fear. We will likely never know what they saw, what they heard, or what they faced in their final, terrifying moments. Their tragic story is a chilling reminder that nature and perhaps the universe itself still holds dark secrets we cannot begin to understand. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you're fascinated by mysteries like this, make sure to subscribe to InfluenceSyc and hit that notification bell for more explorations into hidden truths. We'll see you next time.